Demers and myself, Viviane Chauvet. It's really a place of inspiration. We want to welcome all of you today, but especially a most heartfelt, inspirational episode today with an amazing lady, Yuvonda Wells. Even though Yuvonda needs no introduction, allow me just to give you a glimpse of what we're going to be exploring today. Yuvonda is a masterpiece of courage, strength, and I would say even miracles. We're going to explore the power of prayers. We're going to talk about intergalactic healing, profound transformation, heart connection. I want to know more about the Zeta connection that Yuvonda brings. She has an incredible life story and what she's been going through as she used to be a very active athlete, a marathon runner, martial art artist, and so forth, and what took place for her when her life changed completely. And we're going to dive into this to really inspire all of us to really reach the highest potential and be the best of who we can be. And Yuvanda is quite an artist as well. She has a healing arts on Etsy and does amazing work. We're going to explore today also how Yuvanda really helped Jeff during his transformation. Welcome back to the Infinite Star Connections.
Thank you so much. Hello, everyone. I appreciate you both, Vivian and Jeff, for having me on. It is an honor. Thank you.
Same here. Same here.
And
Absolutely, same here. And I want to take the time to say hello to everyone in the chat room. We have people from Denmark, right here in Arizona, across the US, Hawaii. We have people also in beautiful other countries. Usually, we have also our audience from South Africa, Australia, Germany. And we are really happy to have you here. Thank you for taking the time with us. You're in for a treat. I'm telling you, you're going to feel much more inspired. Hello to my dear friend Gina Mia. You are amazing yourself. Thank you for being the guardians of the ranch with Regina. And we appreciate you. So let's begin and let's dive. And we have people from Australia and Italy too. We're so blessed. Yes, and Anna for Portugal as well. So thank you for being here. Yuvanda, have you been? How things are going for you?
things are good. Today, the sun's shining. Happy,
Mhm.
happy.
Sun's always good.
Yes. I've been good. I think that things within me are changing just like everyone else. And today I wanted to talk about prayer, the importance of prayer, and also to let everyone know that when you're in a situation and someone needs help and you can do nothing, I mean, absolutely, you have no money to give. They're too far away. You can't serve them physically. Prayer, prayer is so important. It is extremely important, and it works. Even with Jeff, um, with myself in the healing, the multiple deaths that I had, I knew people were praying. Um, So what I do, my profession is I'm a medical clinical Qigong practitioner. And I also do Reiki, but Reiki is like a very tiny part of it. Um, and whenever I've had clients, you can tell the people that have had people pray for them because their energy is different. There's a strength to their energy. The more that people pray for them, the energy is stronger. It's not denser, it's just brighter and stronger. And I wanted to share that with everyone to let them know how important it is. And what I have noticed um, during several of my death experiences, and I also wanted to explain, for me, my experiences, there's a difference between a death and a near death experience. With the near death experiences, I could still see an energetic cord connected to my soul, my spirit, and the physical body. With a death, there was no connection whatsoever. It was just me and space and energy coming from what I perceived as above. So I didn't really hear or feel prayers during the near death experience. During the death experiences, I did. I could feel them, and I knew them. And some of the voices I knew, but that was self-experience with myself. With clients, I could just tell. I could feel it. I could feel the prayers coming in. And it was late last year, something changed. And I had a client, he was actually on his deathbed. And when I started working on his crown, I could see the streams of energy of prayers coming in to his crown and filling his body, his physical, etherical, both physical and etherical body, with this strong energy. And suddenly I could hear the prayers. That was a first for me with a client. I could hear the individual prayers, the group prayers. And what I noticed was the simple prayers. They were the strongest. I had to take I had to take more than a moment to comprehend what was happening, because it was such a shock that I could audibly hear the prayers. And I know my client could hear them because tears were just rolling for me too. But there were group prayers coming in. There were individual prayers. The prayers that were the strongest were from the children, and they were so simple, absolutely simple. And one that was, it's the loudest one was, "Dear God, my grandpa is sick. I love him. Please heal him." That was it. It was that simple. That prayer was so strong. And when that prayer came in, his entire energetic body just went, and there was a strength to it. It was amazing. And then all these other prayers were coming in and just getting stronger and stronger. And so since that, I I guess it awakened something within me. And then with my subsequent clients, I could see the prayers that had been prayed over them over the years throughout their lifetime and in the current. So if it's like like if you have a brick house, you've got so many bricks in a house, and it's all built. But with every prayer, one brick gets strengthened, and the next prayer strengthens another brick. And then the next prayer strengthens another brick, plus those bricks. And it just gets stronger and stronger. And it doesn't go away. It's not erased. It's not in the moment. It is in the moment, but it stays through the lifetime. So it's the simple prayers seem to be the most significant from my observation, my experience. And it was so profound. I wanted everyone to know this, that prayers matter. Even if it's just a moment, the thought, however you pray, just that goodwill toward another. It is so important, and it stays with that person for their life, from what I'm observing. So, I don't know what else to say. It's just so important.
Well, what you are bringing today, Yuvonda, it's bringing everybody back to the heart
Yeah.
centeredness and the power that we really convey and carry, and the difference we make for each other. And sometimes it may not seem as much on the surface, but what you're bringing up, it's something very, I would say, essential. And it's very important right now to really tone out all the distraction and, about galactic reading and Akashic record and disclosure and ascension. There's so much going on, but you come today like a breath of fresh air, and you bring yourself back into that sacred space. So just for the purpose of, those who are going to be rediscovering you or discovering you for the first time, would you just give us a little bit of your background in terms of, you talk about your near-death experience, just to give us an idea to see what the pathway has been for you.
Okay, so I always athletic, always creative. And in 1994, I was involved in an auto accident. And that was when I experienced my first physical death. It was a near-death experience and then an actual death. I levitated above. I could see EMTs working on my body. I could see them rolling me into the ambulance and doing CPR. And yeah, so that was quite traumatic. That accident set the stage that I, I call them adventures, because if I call them anything else, I get in a mind loop of victimhood and poor me. And I can't have that. It is what it is. I cannot change it. I have, rose above. I've healed. So they're adventures. My family still doesn't like that term, but for me, I cannot be a victim. It wasn't my fault. It just happened. So I had traumatic brain injury. I had to, how long I was out, at least half an hour, no one could bring me back, and came back. I had to relearn to read, write, tell time, my left from my right, like overly learned skills I had to relearn. My daughter was very young at the time, and I learned to read along with her. And I couldn't wait for every day. She'd come home from school and I'd do her homework. She'd be so mad. So I would do it alongside of her because she did want me doing her homework. So that helped. She helped me tie my shoes. She helped me relearn how to put gas in the car. It was amazing. I'd forgotten how to do all these things, but I could still drive a car. So so that took a while to heal from. One of the therapies that I had done, actually, that was my second death. It was an experiment. I was so desperate. So my soft tissues were shredded. They couldn't stitch anything up. Teeth were broken. I was a mess. Almost every bone in my body was broken. There was nothing they could do. Nothing doctors could do for me. It was, you live or you die. That was pretty much it. That's when I heard the first prayer, and it was from my daughter. She must have known. The second one, I think my daughter knew too, and I heard her prayer during that death. And so since then, it was about 8, 9 years ago, I started having seizures, which they were strokes. I'd had over 350 full ischemic strokes. No, mini strokes, and then 7 ischemic strokes and several hemorrhagic strokes. I was a quadriplegic that couldn't speak, and had to relearn to walk. And I still can't run; it hurts, but I can hike. So I know that the reason I'm here is because of the prayers. During one of the deaths, I heard people praying for me, and I didn't know these people. I did not know them. And come to find out, my sister had put me on a prayer chain, and there were hundreds of people praying for me. And I heard them. I didn't know them, but I heard them. And I know it was the prayers that gave me the strength to continue on. It wasn't just the prayers. I also had studied martial arts. I knew about chi, how to heal myself, that kind of thing. And so that was very critical, along with my divine team. And during one hospital visit, about a month, anyway, I had died. And it was, how long, I'm not sure. It was long enough they had taken me to the morgue. They had already called my daughter and wanted to know what funeral home to pick me up. And while she was getting all that together, and she had it together, I was ready to call the hospital back. They called her back, and they apologized. They didn't know what happened, but I had come back, and I remember it was just, all I saw was white, and I heard a man and a woman screaming. They were screaming. It was quite scary. Anyway, I was down in the morgue. So they took me back up to the hospital. So, so during this stay, my divine team came and took me, and I believe the name of the craft, the ship, it was not a tiny craft, it was huge. It's called Athena. There were Octurians there. There were mantis, my line beings. There were Zetas were there. There were so many. And I was taken upon this craft and put in I was like in a pod, an energetic pod. I was suspended. And at one point, the walls were white, or appeared to me to be white. And they were grouped together and they were talking. And they were talking about if my body was viable enough to return. And I'm thinking, I can hear you all. You know, you're talking about me like I'm not here, but I can hear you. They kind of turned at me and I was being dismissed. I was in awe because I looked up and there was light that was going down and around me. And I looked up and around and I saw images of me, my body. I didn't realize that at the time. I could see through my body. I could see all the injuries, the bones that had been broken, remodeled, and the brain. And I was thinking, I don't know who this is, but they are screwed. And then it was like, oh, wait, that's me. Oh, geez, that's me. And I told them and I said, I could physically see that there's no way this body can live. So I asked my team to show me how to heal myself. I don't know why I did not ask for them to heal me. I'm sure they did some, or I wouldn't have made it. But I asked them to show me how to heal me. And I was shown. And I took that and I applied it to myself. My brain was 25% dead. It was gone. There was nothing there. There was no hypothalamus. The brainstem was destroyed. So I took what they taught me and I restored my brain. My brain regrew, which was pretty amazing. So I have incorporated this into my healing sessions, ancient healing arts. It's what I use with Jeff. And Jeff agreed, and I did not tell him that it would probably hurt. But afterwards, he told me that it hurt.
Oh, it hurt, but it was good hurt though.
So yeah, that's yeah. Anyway.
Okay, just let's back up a little bit. You talk about your team. Can you define who are you referring to as your team?
Okay, so well, there's my higher self. There's me, and there's like three. I don't know how to define it. 3 consciousnesses. That's a word. And then there's I have a mantis being that's with me 24/7. I've got a couple of lion beings that are with me. They come and go. They're always around for protection. I've got a Zeta reticuli that's with me 24/7. And I did not see, I call him a he because it feels masculine. I did not see his physical form for many years. And it was probably a good thing because it would have scared me. They're definitely different. The lion beings they're just compassionate and loving, and they're not scary at all, other than they're huge and they're massive. Yeah. The mantis, when I first saw them, they were a bit alarming. It took a bit to get used to it. Some Octurians come and go. They're so pleasant. They're not scary. It's not alarming. It's I've not seen them in the actual physical like flesh where I could touch them. They've always been in the form of light and shape, and I could make out features, but I couldn't actually touch it like I can touch myself.
No.
Whereas with the mantis beings, and never actually touched the Zeta. I'm working up to it. But the lion beings, there's just gave me a big hug, and I physically hugged them. Yeah. So there's other beings that come around like the Messini, the Ponti. They're funny. I've never hugged them, but they've shown me their teeth. They dance, they sing, they like to mess up my organ products that I make. They like to be involved. Um, so my team depends on whatever it is I need.
Right.
They're always around.
Amazing. Absolutely, I can feel that. I love the diversity of different consciousness that works with you. I like to redefine a little bit about when you take the one from Zeta Reticuli. Well, the Zeta Reticuli is where they come from. So, what group exactly from Zeta Reticuli do you work with?
I don't exactly know. I know they are healers. They are the ones that gifted. I can't think of his name. But the guy that came up with Reiki, the Sui.
Oh yeah, some Japanese guy.
Yes, yes. Which he was a Qigong master, and so he wanted a way not to use his energy during healings, because what he did we call today medical clinical Qigong, where you use your own energy. It takes years to store. It takes a long time. Um, but he wanted a method where he didn't have to exhaust his energy, and he could also teach the everyday person. Because to become a Qigong master healer, it takes decades. It takes decades, and he knew that the mass population did not have decades to dedicate to a practice to heal themselves. So that's where Reiki came from the Zetas and the Zeta Reticuli. That's all I know. My conversations with my Zeta guide is about healing, about how to help that. I've never really asked much. I've just been blessed that they've shared, or this particular Zeta has shared so much with me. And there's so much other stuff I've honestly not asked much.
Hmm.
I figured what they'd given me was quite a bit.
Was this kind of a tall Zeta?
Yes, the Zeta was there with you, with the session I did with you, the sessions.
Yep.
He's the one that.
He was really tall, and he had long arms, and yeah.
Yeah, they're like 14 feet tall. They're huge. Yes.
They're not the normal, little tiny Zetas.
No. And the appearance is a bit alarming, but it's not malevolent. It's very benevolent. It's just the appearance is just,
It can be overwhelming. I mean, sometimes they look like what they call a Zalahu.
Yes.
But I don't know their names for sure. But these are not the bad Zetas.
No, they're very benevolent. There are so many different races, from my understanding.
There's hundreds of thousands of different Zetas.
Yes. So these are healers. That's what they do. They heal and they teach healing. So I did ask why it took so long for him to reveal himself to me in the physical form. He just laughed and he said, "What would you have done?" I was like, I would have told you to stay away.
But there you go. And he knew that. That's the thing. Yuvonda, this is really inspirational. I was under the impression that Reiki came from the Pleiades, not from Zeta Reticuli. So that's really fascinating to learn.
That's what they told me, because I asked.
Okay.
It could be I don't know. I don't know what anyone else knows. I just know what they told me. And
Okay.
it makes sense because Reiki is kind of flipped from, with Qigong, you start from the root and you go up, as with most martial arts and, kind of thing. But with Reiki, you start from the crown and go down. But the principles are the same. It's just a little different. So.
Well, any type of energy healing. I mean, all these races can do that, So, I mean, maybe the Arcturians can do something like that.
Yes.
I'm sure that the Pleiadians can do something like that. And, the Bonte can do something like that. Just that in your particular case, it was a tall Zeta.
Yes.
You know,
Yes.
whatever they're called is whatever they're called.
Yeah. Well, whatever it is happens to be. But whatever this race is, they're the ones that gifted Reiki to us.
Yes, and I know that was confirmed from my good friend down in Australia, who also mimicked the same thing.
Okay.
That this one Zeta type, they're the ones that it's the energy healing that they brought to us.
So I do want to mention, so the sessions with you, Vivian asked her Arcturian family to protect you.
They were there.
They were there.
Oh yeah.
So I wanted to describe that protection. It looked like a toroidal field that encompassed your entire hospital room, plus you. It was incredible. So when I have clients that are in the hospital, I spend a few minutes clearing the room because there's so much going on in a hospital. Makes sense. But this was just pristine, the cleanest space ever, ever, ever. It was amazing. And so if anyone out there, if Vivian sends protection to you, know that it's amazing.
Yeah.
And
Oh,
it's
I
super
actually
strong.
I actually seen them. They were not physically, but you could see them. They were just like there's 4 or 5 of these tall blue,
Yes.
like tall ass
Like
curtains that were
pillars.
just like moving. I'm like, what the hell is that? It said,
Yeah,
is that
but it was a
Arcturian?
toroidal field that was all around you. It was I that was incredible. I've not ever seen that with anyone.
Well, when I first went there, they had said that I was going to be there for 6 to 8 months, and I'll never golf again. Might as well sell your bike because you'll never. It takes a long time to heal from this type of thing. I said, what? What are you talking about? I'm out of here in a month. No, you're going to stay. You can't even walk. But I can walk now. After that healing, it was. I never believed in prayer. Okay, I'll put it out there. People say, yeah, send me a prayer. Yeah, okay, whatever. I pray for you, whatever, blah, blah, blah. It doesn't mean anything, right? But in this case, when I was there, I actually felt everybody praying, and it felt like a lot of energy, like a lot of gladness. And I
Yes.
didn't know what that was, and that's when you said, well, that's the prayers. I said, is that what it feels like? That's what a prayer feels like?
It's
And
amazing.
Sarah said, because she was there with Judy, who never left me. I said, I want to know, what does a prayer feel like? And so Sarah took her hand, and I didn't feel it physically, but when you're in that state, it's like a slap. I said, that's what a prayer is. And she said, when a lot of people, she didn't say it, but she showed me images that, when a lot of people pray for you, it's a movingness of energy towards you that stays with you and
Yes.
vibrates with you.
Yes.
So that when they pray for you, she tells me, or she showed me, this energy field stays with you for a while. And if you're lucky, like me, to have somebody like you come in and do a healing, you can draw from that energy
Yes.
that is stored around me to help heal the body.
Yes.
So those prayers do work. I mean,
They work.
seriously. So, and it comes from the intention of the person. That's why the children, when they do it, that's all. That's their whole intention is focused on that one prayer. When
Yes.
you get older and adults, the intention isn't really there unless you really pray for you. Okay. So it's the intention behind the prayer. That's what Sarah told me. And then that's going to be in my book as soon as I get it finished. It's just one of many chapters. But yeah, so it's the intention behind the prayer.
Yes.
And the prayer feels like confidentness of whatever.
It's strength.
Gladness, and
Yeah.
that's the energy field that is around you. More of a technical reason of it.
So what I noticed, so with subsequent clients from the initial one where I actually heard the prayers that people were praying, people were praying for him, I followed it back, and I've been doing this because when you're doing an energy session, you can multitask on different levels. It's hard to explain. But as someone prays, it strengthens their own light.
Yes.
It's a win-win. No one loses. It's a win-win.
No, because it comes from the heart of the
Yeah.
person, so there's an action and a reaction.
Yes. And there is no harm with a prayer. There's just no harm. It is smooth and it's flawless and it's just beautiful. It is just absolutely beautiful. It is literally a win-win any way you look at it.
And everybody can do it.
Yes, it is just so simple. It's so simple. Just a heartfelt thought, a good intention,
Right.
Whatever it is they need. Yeah. So I just feel that is so important. That is one thing every person can do. Every single one of us can do that.
Mm-hmm.
I agree. It really is. And the way both of you, both you, Yuvonda, and Jeff, the way you share about your experience, very inspirational for everyone in the chat room and around listening and will be tuning in. It reminds me also that, Jeff, when you were going through this huge reset with the stroke and everything, and I remember one time I went back online to have a short, maybe 30 minutes update for our podcast, and everybody came together for you. And that synergy, and even though physically on the screen you only see me, but I felt the presence of everyone that day. And many of our beautiful audience around the world have come together, and we were all gathered around one soul, and that was you, Jeff. So I'm really super happy to hear, how much you've been feeling the energy, how Sarah and Jeruli have been telling you how the energy feels and how you're describing everything, because it was very potent. And it's still on the YouTube channel. You can go back and watch
No,
that.
and I think everybody that participated, you made me a believer, and it was an interesting, amazing experience. I don't know if I would want to do it again, but it was really good. I appreciate it totally.
Oh, absolutely. And Yuvanda, I would like to go back, and if it's okay with you, Jeff, to talk about how your Zeta group came about and how you came together to really help Jeff. And can you walk us through the process how this happened?
Oh, you mean the session?
Yes, for
Okay.
Jeff.
All right. So with every set, because it was distance, I'm here. I actually have a copper pyramid I practice out of. That just helps the area that I'm in. The energy's kind of low. So I clean my space. I say my prayers. I declare intentions. Jeff accepts. I go in. Typically, I go in and I've got to clear the person's space. None of that. It was just so easy peasy, and they were welcoming, and there were so many there, so many beings, so many different races that were there, but just very specific. The Octurians held space. It was so powerful. So I do my practice, and then I do. It's quantum. It's galactic. We don't stay here on Earth. We just go to this space. Where I go is a very specific space for healing. And they're all there. Jeff's there. I do my work. His team does. They work on different parts all at the same time. My team works on different parts. It's a concert. It's a concert to get Jeff, healed. So while working on his brain, had to go in and you have to bring in the spark of life in order to ignite, because the synapses were severed. They were gone. There was nothing there. Had to get it back, had to regrow, bring in light, the spark of life. And it wasn't just bring the energy in like a regular session. You actually have to ignite it. And that comes straight from source. So I've learned how to pull that in, just super high frequency. And that's what hurts. It's because the frequency is so high. The body's frequency is much, much lower. And because it's damaged, it's even lower. So when I release it and that spark goes, it's actually quite painful, but it works. It's, yeah. So while I'm doing this, my Zeta was on his heart, his chest, because that needed healing too. And then they're all over his body. Some at his feet, some at his sides, some on his hands. My team around, more around me. It's a concert. It's very fluid. Did that explain it?
Yeah, beautifully. I just feel the inspiration because this is also honoring the pathway of the work that you do, Yuvonda, plus honoring the healing pathway, Jeff, that you have walked on splendidly. And it's really what we would like to focus on in terms of bringing the inspiration and to show everybody, well, it's really possible, what we can really achieve. So when you mentioned, Yuvonda, that your group of Zeta came and opened a session in for Jeff remotely, obviously, and working with the brain pattern, the reconnection, how many Zeta or that groups would you say came through that day for Jeff?
I lost count. It was over 100.
Wow.
Yeah, with the Octurians, the Mantis, the Ponti were well, the hybrids were around, and they were like peering in, because they weren't a part of the healing, but they were there. They were so cute, like little children. What's happening now? What's happening now?
How was the project for them?
They were terrified. They were just so worried about you. The small hybrids. They were funny. There were so many. He had so many there. There were so many.
Well, I only saw one large Zeta, and he put his arms over the body and lifted something up, and he just stayed there till everybody was done. That's what I remember seeing.
There were so many doing different things.
Yeah, but that one, it was just like, how long is his arms? I mean, holy cow! And it just lifted up, whatever. And everybody's doing everything and stuff, and And
so those that find it hard to comprehend that there are different races would know them as angels.
Mm-hmm.
And angels that were there in just different forms.
Okay, let's go back. This is very powerful. So you have a lot of Zetas, and when you say Zeta, because Zeta it's a label. Do you have a recognition of what group of what species or one group of Zeta came for Jeff that day?
No, because I know there were different types of Zetas there. Okay. There were. I have one specific Zeta for my healing, that anytime I do healing, he is there. And okay. That's all he's there for, is the healing. That's very specific. But there were different ones. There was a gold being there too. It was all gold. Don't know who that is. I don't know. There were dog beings there too. There were two of them. And they didn't look like the Egyptian style. Nope. One that they look like dog people, like long-eared dogs. That's what they look like.
Yeah, they're Syrians.
And the line beings, the Lyrans were there. There were beings, I don't know who they are.
Why do you think
But
there were so many for one guy?
because you're that important.
No.
We are who we are, Jeff. Just accept it. That many have come for you.
Oh my
And
God.
oh my God. How about that? What a concept, everyone. Everybody in the world, here we are, broadcasting live. Many beings have come for Jeff.
Excuse me.
Yes, we have. And Yuvonda, you are a beautiful bridge for your gift, your ability, your light, who you are, and you were facilitating all of this. And this is incredible. You talk about having the difference for the angels. Can you go back to that part when you talk about the angels who came for Jeff?
So I know that. So I grew up in a highly religious family. And they understand the term angels, and it's accepted. To have an angel walk beside you, and they see the angel as a being of light, which is a Zeta or a Arcturian or a line being or a mantis being, because they are beings of light. They're very benevolent. So I know when I do a session, I have very specific criteria. If you are not of unconditional love for myself and for my client, you cannot enter that space. Doesn't matter. It just does not matter. So any being that was there was an angel of loving light, of unconditional love. If you're anything less than that, you cannot enter. It's just how it is. So it's just another word to describe the beings that were there. They angels. That's how people know them. But then you can get into specific, as Octurians, mantis, line beings, zetas, the Mazzini.
Thank you. That's beautiful. That's beautiful. And before we continue, just a little quick parenthesis for my friend and co-host here. Did you see all the comments that appear on the screen for you?
Yeah. They're just, yeah.
Thank you, everybody. You speak the
Thank
truth.
you, everybody.
I can't see them, so hopefully they're good.
Oh, they were amazing. Let me read a few. Rita wrote, "He's worth it." Philip wrote, "He's a special soul, that Jeff." Diana said, "Jeff is an amazing person." Should I go on?
No, that's good
Hi,
enough.
Diana.
And also we have our beautiful divine fractal. Welcome back. We missed you here. Yes, welcome back for sure. But I'm just very moved for what we're talking about. And in your experience, Yuvonda, what is the difference between when you are in the presence of very high intergalactic beings like the Zeta, the dark people you talk about are Syrians, the Lyrans and others, versus an angelic being? In your experience, what is the difference between these beings?
So say that again so I make sure I understand, please.
When you work with these beings, how do you know it's a star being versus an angelic being? What's the difference?
So whether they're benevolent or not, my heart, instant, there is no question, absolutely no question. Your heart will not ever lie to you. Your brain might, your thoughts may, but your heart, and if you truly know thyself, you'll know instantly. So how some, it's by light, by vibration, I can tell. It's sort of like, you know what vanilla ice cream tastes like, and you know what chocolate ice cream tastes like, and you know what mint ice cream tastes like. You recognize it because you've had it before, or you've tasted it, and you know the label. So with beings, it's like you've seen them before, you know the frequency. It's just like a taste, so you recognize it. Most of them just show their face to me. I just see them. There's no hiding. Some beings are just light. There's such a high frequency. They do not become a physical form. But the frequency is so high. It's just so high. The heart will not ever lie to you, ever. And your heart knows. It is calming. It is soothing. There is zero fear. If there's ever fear, it's not one you need to be around. Your heart will tell you. It's peace, it's love, it's calm. And it's not trickery because your heart knows. The heart just knows. That's how I can tell. Some of them I recognize. So like my Zeta that's with my healing. It was decades, literally decades before I saw his face. But he knew me. He knew me well enough to know if I saw his face, I'd just freak out. I just couldn't deal with it. You know, I'm human. I've been programmed a certain way. So it took a while to unprogram myself so I could accept it. Yeah, so most of the time I see their face. The higher frequencies I can see shapes, but they're just a high frequency and it's just light.
Okay, let me ask you this question. You said that you got a hold of the UMO. Did they show up there?
Yes. I forgot about that. Yeah, there were so many, Jeff. Yes.
See, because that's significant because the UMO is a physical race, okay? And everybody else is a interdimensional race, which I can see the interdimensionals coming and going as a, whatever. But to actually get like a three-dimensional race to show up, I think is pretty significant.
Yeah, they were not participating in the actual healing. They were observing or supporting. They weren't hands-on. They were in the perimeter.
Did they give you a symbol?
Say that again.
Did they give you a symbol? A healing symbol?
Do you know how long ago that's been, Jeff? It's been a while. I know they have before. It's just like a stream. So let me go back and think. There were so many symbols going in. Maybe it was from them. I don't recall at the time.
I remember them giving you something like an ankh, but it wasn't an ankh. It was a different symbol. And I have mostly all of their ideograms. I can't find nothing that comes close to that design. I just was wondering if there's a difference between a healing symbol and a ideogram that they generally use.
It could have. I just, at the moment, I don't recall, and I don't want to misrepresent what happened. So
right, understood. Okay.
Yeah, no worries. That we can feel already, even though the symbol is not maybe remembering consciously, the presence of the symbol is still there, and that's more where I'm inviting everyone to connect to feel that symbol, right? Jeff, how does it feel to you to receive all of this right now, especially live on the podcast? Not only the recognition for public, but from Yuvonda, our team, and everyone who come and gather for you. How, from your perspective, how was your experience?
Well, I want everybody to know about it because I was, I'm a very, nuts and bolts person. I don't believe everything everybody says, whatever, just like the prayer. Okay, cool, prayer works, whatever. Until it happens to you, you really don't get it. So I just want them to know that this shit is real. People pray for you, and and I wanted to understand. So somebody does some pray for you. So what happens? What does it go? What is it? And then that's when Sarah said it's an energy field that they send to you that keeps with you. Yeah. Well, that's cool because it helps people, the non-believers or the doubters, understand that now I'm starting to get it because I can feel it. Now I know what that feeling is, that tremendous confident feeling of it it could be love. It could be just a confidence feeling of being confident, you know. That's what I want the people to know is that it happened to me and I couldn't walk. I had to learn how to walk. I mean, I knew how to walk. I just couldn't say this, move the legs. And I had to shuffle out of the bed for about 2 3 weeks. And then after the healing, that night I got up and I walked to the restroom. And so I know that it works. And from that day forward, I just pushed myself to get out of there. So it does work. If you can find a healer that knows what the hell they're doing, go for it, you know, because it does work.
Well, I think it's kind of funny in a Jeff way, because I had offered a session,
Yeah,
and finally I was like, Jeff, you know, I do this. Just let me do it.
yeah, I don't want to, you
Okay,
know,
fine. You know,
whatever. Yeah, you know, I'm just not, you know, I have to see it to believe it,
but
you know.
and I even had to tell him, was like, but Vivian's worked on you, and you know it works. And he's, yeah, yeah, yeah.
I know, but this was a little different. This
Well,
was my stupidity that brought me to this place, you know. So
yeah. So Jeff wanted, he wanted to go into rehab, get out of the actual hospital into rehab so he could go home. And he had been trying, and in order to do that, you have to be able to do specific things. You got to stand, you got to be able to go to the bathroom, you know, with a walker's fine, but by yourself. And when you have, Jeff calls it muscle weakness, which is the medical term is paralysis. And he's like, I've been trying, I can't get out, and I want to. And I was like, well, let me do this. And he's like, okay, fine.
yeah, like yeah, whatever, sure, you know, okay.
So this was what I think a Saturday night. That's what I'm thinking. And then Sunday, he was improving. And Monday, they tested him again, and they put him right into rehab. So he was able to leave the hospital to go right into rehab. And then he was in rehab a couple of weeks, and he was anxious to get home. And I was like, you know, Jeff, we could do the same thing again. Okay, fine, do it. It's like, okay. So we did it in the afternoon, and then the next day he was discharged. So,
I mean, it all comes down to how bad you want it.
how bad you want it. But it wasn't me just, I brought in the energy, I brought it in, and it was up to Jeff to do something with it. And he had to know it, he had to feel it, he had to want it, he
You
actually
know
had to
why?
work for it. It wasn't just he laid there and did nothing. No, he worked for it.
No, I ain't gonna stay there. You gotta be kidding me. You know, I seen these guys walking down the hallway. Oh, I'm great. Oh, and I said, I ain't gonna end up like that. You gotta be no. Give me a plan to get out of here. And just gotta. That was the only thing. And I ate a shit ton of Jello, which helped.
It did. It does. So when you have muscle weakness, paralysis, there's nerve damage, and so and that's very, very painful. So the glycogen, which is collagen, form of collagen, in the Jello, uh, helps helps a lot. Helps the nerve repair, the sheathing.
I mean, that's all I ate was Jello for breakfast, Jello, and I was pooping Jello. You know, because I knew that this stuff. This is my way out of here. So okay, I'm gonna eat as much as I can.
Yeah. So when you're in today's hospitals, they don't have all the nutritious good stuff. So Jello is the best substitute.
I had to ask for that, and they said, "Oh yeah, sure, you can have it." Why? I said, "Because I want it." You know, so they gave it to me, and that's all I ate.
It works.
It works. I'm here to tell you, couldn't do that before.
It's quite impressive. It's quite impressive. Um, but you know, from a vegetarian perspective, for me, cheddar would never be an option for me. And for those who are not utilizing animal product, but I'm glad it worked for you, though. The other aspect that you mentioned, Yuvonda, is also very key. Is that Jeff, you had a very powerful willpower. And on that note, at some point when you were at the hospital, what was going on? I asked my Octarian delegation to look a little bit in the potential of your timeline to see what was going on. And there was a time that to your higher self, you told me to say that you were in limbo. You did not know if you were going to that window or if you were going to come back in your body. And there was that time where I saw you indecisive and you were still contemplating your options. And then, of course, we prayed and asked, can you please come back? I'm sure you have a lot more to do, to teach, to experiment for yourself, to share with the world. There's so much more and in front of you. And then at some point, your higher self came back to us and says, the decision has been made. And then that's why you're starting to really might be more present back in your body. It says, oh no, am going above and beyond. I accept the help. I'm willing to receive prayers. So I'm going to be working with you, Yuvonda, and all the team that comes. So it was very much a beautiful partnership, a collaboration. And from our perspective, we knew at that point that you were going in that direction because at a soul level, you made the choice. It was already decided. If that makes sense.
Yeah,
Yeah.
actually, I do remember when that happened. So yeah, that is absolutely true.
I want to bring up a real important point that when anyone is in the hospital, it is extremely important to say a prayer of protection for them. Because in the hospital, you're around diseases, death, agony, pain, um,
Machines.
machines. Yes, there's such low frequencies there that prayers for protection work. And so our friends and family that are in hospitals or nursing homes or rehab centers, whatever, they truly do need our prayers for their protection. But because you're in a hospital, because you're in a weak and vulnerable state. And anyway, I just wanted to emphasize that. And I honestly believe that Jeff was so protected, nothing bothered him. So he was able to take his will, and to excel. Had he not had protection, it would have been more of a struggle.
Well, I think that protection is also the my strong belief that there is something else out there other than just your body, and accepting what is out there too. Remember, I always talk about accepting and understanding. So I do have a pretty good understanding of what is out there. So I think that actually helped too.
Yes.
Knowing that there is something much bigger that will definitely help you. You know, I remember seeing Vivian's father. I mean, not many people get to see an Arcturian, but I feel very fortunate that your dad was like, he was there and gone. He was there and gone, there and gone. He would come in and check, and he reminded me of Titan. You know, that the guy with the So he would just pop in and pop out.
Poseidon?
Poseidon, yeah, there you go.
Yeah, no. I remember, and I got myself in Greece a jar in honor of Poseidon just because of what you've been sharing with me. So see,
Yes, that's how I perceive him, and so he always shows up that way.
that's amazing. That's absolutely amazing. I like to ask, since you receive a lot, and of course, Yuvonda, you give a lot. There's a request for us in the chat room from John to says, would you please come together and say a prayer request for my friend, a good friend of mine, who's been struggling with really heavy health issues, several surgeries, not out of the wood just yet. Can we just come together just for a moment to say the prayers? And Yuvonda, if you would, as our guest today, it would be great if you would lead the prayer, if it's okay with you.
Okay. My prayer. What's the name of the person? Or just a friend of John?
A friend of John. A friend of John.
Okay, so you all know my prayers are super simple.
It don't matter.
All right. We pray that the friend of John heals completely and fully to be thy will. with love. So be it.
Okay, let's hold the space for a little bit longer. That was beautiful, but very, very brief. Just a little bit. Let's bring what everything that Yuvonda just said. Let it magnify it into the presence of His light. Your friend John. Let's all of us hold His body template to see and feel at the heart soul level that your friend is whole and complete, vibrantly healthy, and to know that what needs for him to happen for his highest and greatest good. We ask the beings of light and the physicians of light to magnify our joint prayer today. Let's take a deep breath to your heart and expand. Beautiful. Thank you so much, everyone. Just a little layer. Beautiful. I think it was amazing to honor that request, especially that the topic is so wonderfully inspiring, heartfelt. Everything that you shared so far, Yuvonda, and of course with Jeff, your experience, and being able to listen to what you've been going through from a perspective where today you are healthy, you walk, you talk, you move. It's phenomenal. Well, both of you are really inspiring example for everyone.
If it happened to me, it can happen to somebody else. All you gotta do is believe it, and it'll be there.
Vivian, your prayers are absolutely beautiful. I'm inspired. Mine are still so simple. Just
And yet beautiful nonetheless. We just simply join together to expand to another level. That's all. They're
Roy
both very
Brooks.
beautiful.
There it is.
so. Does anyone have any questions?
Yes. Jeff, you want to explore? You want to have maybe any more layers, question you would like to explore with Yuvonda today?
Um, Not off the top of my head right now. I will when we get going again. I'm sure of it. I just want to clear up a little bit here, my brain. But yeah, I will have
Okay.
some questions about intent. I think intentions. I find that fascinating.
So
Mhm.
I've learned that highest good intent and send love. It doesn't
Yeah,
need words.
but what is at the base level? What is an intention? You know, an intention is what
And
a
a desire, a need.
desire, thought to be brought to somebody, right? Probably, I guess. How does one create an intention?
So I think there's different forms of intention.
Mm-hmm.
And intention is what you seek, what you want, what you need.
What you foresee this person doing,
Yeah,
maybe.
possibly, yes. So I know that I declare an intention for all of my clients when we do a session. It's, say their name for their highest good to cause no harm, create only positive ripples and waves, overall wellness, good health, to heal, balance, harmonize mind, body, spirit. And if they want to add anything, um, so, so be it, so be it. Set it, it's clear, it covers everything. It's present, it's future.
Okay.
It's simple and I think very complex at the same time. So that's an intent. Sort of a prayer, sort of not a prayer. It's kind of a combination. Um,
Yeah, I kind of take it from the children's point of view because their intentions, their prayers really mean it comes from the soul, comes inner. So how do they, using them as a base, to create an intention? This is how I would look at it and explore that.
yeah,
Because intentions are very powerful.
yes. The children's energy was so strong, so pure, and it was instant. Their prayers reached this, when I first saw it, this client before everyone else's. It was that fast and that intense and that strong and clear. It was so clear. audibly clear.
See, they also might not be damaged by society too. When you get a
True.
person that's older that's done some bad shit throughout his life, their intentions might not be all that, worthy. You know what I'm saying?
So the funny thing, what's funny, observable and notable, there were prayers that were that just went on and on and on, but the stream was a thin stream versus a short, simple, direct. Dear God, my grandpa's sick. Please heal him. I love him. That's so simple. That was it. That was it. And versus prayers that went on and on and on and on. It's like they took forever to get there. And the stream was very thin. It was constant. And yes, it benefited. It was just that was the difference. And I think that also kind of aligns with me. Just make it short and simple. But in a group, it takes a bit to get the group cohesive, and that's very important.
And it doesn't matter if you're old or it doesn't matter if you're young. That intention is purest form is the best way.
Yeah, it was love. I mean, I've learned children aren't going to do anything unless they want to. Just freely give something. You have to be told, pick up your clothes, things like that. When they pray, it's just a true gift.
Mm-hmm.
It strengthens them. It strengthens the receiver. It, and it stays from what I can tell, a lifetime.
Okay, we got a question from Julianne. How can we clear space? Can you define that a little better?
Okay, so there's different ways you can do it. The way I clear space is a Qigong method, where I get in the center of the room and I swirl the energy out, exit it, and then bring in clean energy, white light.
You use a sage stick or anything like that, or a candle or anything?
In the physical, yes. White sage is more purifying for clearing space, clearing your person, your body. White sage is excellent for that. There's other different things you can burn for meditation, things like that. But for clearing space, my preference is white sage.
What about crystals, like a quartz? You ever use them, or you ever hear anybody else using crystals for that type thing?
So I've heard people use, quartz for lots of things, but I don't use quartz to clear anything, by itself. I've got quartz in a wand, and this clears, but it's not just quartz.
Yeah, those are bad as hell too. Those things work. Be careful with those.
Yeah, they do.
Don't point it at me.
But it's just full of love. This one.
Yeah, I know that, but too much love, too much love.
Yeah. So that's what I do. So there is a Qigong method where when I work with equine, with horses, I go clear a barn. Stand in the center of the barn and literally swirl the energy, get a vortex going and open up a hole in the roof energetically. I don't put a physical hole in it and let it escape. And I let, Source do what he will with it. And then bring in clean white light and fill the barn. I do the same with a room, a hospital room kind of thing, where so energy work is quantum. It is galactic. It's quantum physics. That's what it is. So I can be here and I can stand in the middle of someone's room right now if I wanted, and they accepted, halfway across the earth or other side of the earth, and clear the room, do the same thing. Just I'm energetically in the center and I'm clearing kind of thing. You can do the same.
Is that similar to remote viewing to a spot and then doing a energy clearing?
Well, yeah. So Qigong encompasses it all. It just what I do is, yes, it's remote viewing and it's all sorts of things. It's complex.
What about animals? Can they be healed the same ways?
Yes, I have some animal clients. Yes. birds and fish and dogs and cats. Dogs and cats are my and birds. That seems to be the top.
Well,
But
how does that work? Because you had to ask me if it was okay.
so
Okay, and I got
so,
it.
so I
How does the
connect with their
dog?
if it's at a distance, I connect with their higher self. You instantaneously know. If in person, if the animal doesn't want it, you just know instantly they leave. Uh, but most of the time, my clients that have pets, they come in and they just lay on my client. They're surrounding them. I had one client. I told him it would be great if he had dogs, and I said, you can, let them in the room. No, I don't want them to bother. Well, they would bark and scratch on the door. It kept up, and I was like, hey, why don't we try experiment? And he's like, no, I'm not wasting my money. I was like,
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, if it doesn't work, I'll give you a free one. And he's like, okay. I said, let the dogs in. And he did. It was about a minute of them, you know, kind of barking and circling around. They all laid down, super quiet. I finished the session. And so our subsequent sessions, his dogs were there every time.
Is they want to feed off on that energy?
Yes, they do. They absorb it. And when they've had enough, off they go. Cats they're more particular than the birds and the dogs. If a cat wants the energy, you'll know it. And if not, off it goes.
Interesting.
I'd like to change the pace a little, and thank you for all of this because we all need to know the wisdom and how to do clearing space and all of this. I'd like to bring it a bit a notch higher again to bridge it back with the angelic groups and the intergalactic and all the things we can do. We have many people in the chat room right now requesting different prayers. So would you please give your wisdom, Yuvonda, on when you are in a country where things are shifting, whether it's environmental changes, whether it's volcano erupting, whether it's someone in your life who's going through a process of emotional changes, how can we suggest to people to step up in their light and make a difference in terms of how they can bring their prayer, aligning their intention with maybe more even effectiveness, how to bring their light, especially when there's so much going on in the world? Can you give us a little bit more of wisdom and directions to help people with that?
Okay, so I know here in the Midwest, South, there's been a lot of tornadoes, and not only is it scary and damaging, and it can be deadly. How to protect some people? They have no safe place to go, so it's literally just pray for protection and have that trust, that faith that it'll happen, and imagine a bubble of protection, and literally that is it, that will keep you safe. Um, that's, that's it, and you just pray, and people that excuse me, are in areas where there's turmoil and destruction, and not so wonderful things. It's to pray for them as a whole. That'll help them. That'll help the environment. It'll help everything. Prayers are never wasted. They always help. But when it comes to, how long we have individually, source knows. It doesn't matter. The prayers will help a transition, absolutely will help speed and ease the transition. You can't stop that because that's between the person and source, whatever their path is, but you can always help them, help yourself, by praying for yourself, praying for others. It's just knowing that faith, the energy doesn't stop. It doesn't stay within your head. It doesn't stay within your heart. It goes out, whether it's a thought or from your brain, what you're thinking, telling yourself, or what your heart feels. It still goes out. It doesn't stay within. My thoughts don't stay within my skull. And the way my heart feels does not stay within my heart. It radiates out.
Mm-hmm.
And so if there is an area that has suffered, tragedy, if everyone prayed just for a couple of seconds,
Hmm.
it helps them. It gives them the strength to survive. Maybe that's just that one thing that keeps them alive. And maybe the prayer, if it's their time to go, helps their transition to be smooth and beautiful.
How long does a prayer last?
It could be a moment. So we think in time of minutes and seconds, hours. That's not how energy works. You
So I can pray, and then the energy is there with the person for a long time, but the
yes,
energy is still there. And then
the
anybody
prayer
else
doesn't
prayer
go away.
just
So
builds up.
you may pray for a minute, 30 seconds, 5 seconds. It doesn't matter. Once that person then it's instant.
Mhm.
That energy stays with them. It stays with them for as long as they're here, from what I can tell. It may dissipate. I don't know. I haven't, it might be shown more later, but what I've been shown and what I've observed so far, it stays with them because, and I say this because the clients that are more mature that I've had, there is a difference between ones that have received prayers throughout their life
Mhm.
versus ones that were not the recipient of the prayers like someone else. There is a difference in their energy and in their light.
Interesting.
So,
I like that.
did I answer your question?
Beautifully, absolutely. And it's really coming down to understanding the synergy of the power we can harvest. So when you pray or form of a thought form, and we call that way, thought form, sending with your love, your intention, your essence, well, that's a form of prayer.
Yes.
At the
Mhm.
same time, right? At the same time, would it be wise to maybe clarify the way how you send your thought? Because if you send your thought out of fear, thinking you're praying for someone, but you may potentially send that energy to them, especially when you're in a situation where things are unstable around you, or whether it's environmental, societal, whether it's family situation, or when you're going through a huge health recalibration. It is important to really stay out of fear and to say what part of you is praying for what purpose and what energy are you consciously sending out. Would you say that as a factor to
So,
increase the prayer?
yes. So, yeah, if we're in a state of fear, you should pray for oneself, to calm that fear. That
Mhm.
it is okay to pray for yourself. It's not egotistical to pray for yourself. You are divine. We are divine, and we are worthy of prayer. We are worthy to pray for ourselves, because if we don't, that may be the only prayer some people get is what they pray for themselves. I mean, that's reality. So some people don't get others to pray for them. That's reality. So we have to pray for ourselves. The prayer for ourselves will release that fear, and then we can pray. But energy doesn't lie. It just doesn't lie. If you send a prayer, if you're fearful, but the prayer has good intent and with love, that is what goes through.
Mhm.
You could still be anxious and terrified of a thunderstorm or terrified of a tornado, but you love someone so much, or you care for them and you pray for their protection, but you're still terrified of the tornado coming through. That's not going to negate the prayer. But now having a thought, an ill thought of someone and thinking ill thoughts of them, that's an attack. That's considered an attack. That's not a prayer. That's an attack. And
Right.
so to stop that, you just put a bubble of protection around you, a beautiful white light, and pray for that bubble of protection. And you can just pull it around you and imagine it, know it that it's there. No worries. It's no worries. It's
Beautiful.
gone.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, Yuvonda. Uh, I'd like to just maybe, for all the incredible and rich and deep experience you went through working with such a high level of being, with the wisdom of your heart, your own experience. At this stage of where we are on the planet, what maybe a word of a message of wisdom or knowledge, something you'd like to share for what you've learned from what working with the Zeta group and other beautiful beings that you mentioned earlier, which is very inspirational. What message would you like to bring at this point of where we are at a huge evolution, and the human body template is shifting, our consciousness is rising, we're moving out of the density of the 3D program dualistic matrix reality, we're moving into a more luminous form. So what, maybe a message or something you would like to share, or what you've
Love
learned?
yourself. So
Yeah.
love thyself. Literally love thyself. Because when you love yourself, you can love others unconditionally. It's just love yourself. You are worthy of self-love. You are that divine. You are, if you can imagine yourself as perfect newborn baby. If you're 80 some years old, you are still that perfect newborn baby inside. You're still you're still that precious. You know, your physical features may have changed, but the soul within you has not changed. And you are worthy of love. You are worthy of knowing yourself. And when that happens, everything else works. And yes, things are changing. And there's so much we can do nothing about so much. The only thing that we can do anything about is with ourselves. That's the only thing we can change is ourselves. And when we love ourselves and we care about ourselves, we want to protect those around us, and that just fuels it cascades out. And the more that you love yourself, the people that you're around will feel that love, whether they like it or not, because some people, you know, won't. Their frequency will rise. Well, they can't help it, because frequency wants to balance.
Mm.
And if you're around people that love themselves, you're going to end up loving yourself, like it or not. It's going to happen because the energy wants to balance. And so when you're the only one that loved yourself in a room of others, because love conquers all, the frequency is so balanced and so strong, you will help the others to rise.
Mm.
And prayer is a gift of love. Not only do you strengthen yourself, you strengthen others. It is so simple. It doesn't have to be complicated. It doesn't have to be, elaborate. It's just that simple. You know, it's just simple. It's love. Love yourself. So,
Thank you so much. That's incredible. Yuvonda, I know you create amazing one and other product. Do you still have your shop on Etsy?
I do. And let's see. Oh, it's green for St. Patrick's Day. So there's one.
Ah,
It's
Wow.
beautiful.
ammonite. It's for the heart chakra. So, here's the bottle.
Amazing. Amazing.
And then I still have wands and pendants and tower busters, but the Nubian pyramids, these are my favorite, along with the wands. It's absolutely my favorite. Um,
Now, what do those do? Those
so,
pyramids.
all right, so like this one, it's Shanghai and bronze. It's very, very grounding. So it has a toroidal field, just like our heart has a toroidal field. So anything that within this field, it goes through and it gets cleansed because there's a selenite grid inside. And also there's Shanghai, which blocks EMF. It does that. So it'll bring the energy in, and it cycles it like this, like a donut, and it cleans it. It raises the frequency. So anyone within that field, and this one, depending on where you put it in the house, could have like a 50-foot diameter area
Field? Yeah.
that will clean. So it helps block the EMF. frequencies. It cleans, keeps the environment clean if you have an argument or disagreement. I gave a Shanghai one to my daughter after she remarried and had a blended family. The children never argued. The smoothest transition. They still don't argue, which is amazing. Um, I gave one to, I've got a brother that works in a mechanic shop. So it's all men. They get a little rough, and there were some changes, and they weren't handling it very well, so there was friction. So I gave him a red jasper. I was like, put this in your toolbox and see what happens. But everybody was frustrated because of the changes. You know, there's friction during change. It happens. And he said within a day, everybody was back to laughing and joking. I checked with him after about a month, and he said the difference in the entire shop was so significant. Boss wouldn't know what was going on. The owner, boss, and everyone pointed to my brother's pyramid. So anyway, it does make a difference.
You ever use one in meditation inside of your pyramid?
Excuse me?
Have you ever took one of those inside of your pyramid during meditation?
Yes, I do that too. Yeah. I think did I hear you say that again?
You ever take one of those pyramids you got inside of a pyramid that you meditated?
Oh, yes. So I practice my distant sessions inside a pyramid, and I have pyramids inside, and it does make a huge difference. The protection's easy, the energy flows easier. I often meditate with my wand, put it on different mudra points, the acupuncture points, kind of the same thing, right? My favorite is this. I don't know why, but for me, this is my favorite. And it helps you get into the alpha state a lot easier. So I have different colors, and the frequency, helps for different chakras, different intentions, kind of thing. But you could use any one for anything. It's frequency. It'll raise your frequency, and you'll get to the point to where they have no effect because your frequency is higher than it.
Right.
So,
well, I think the people that are just getting into it, this is a good way to help them.
It does help. It truly does help, and it helps with sleeping too. Gives you a better night's sleep. So they are powerful, and if you haven't been around one, you might want to slowly bring it closer. So I know some people, they have to put it if they get a large pyramid, they'll need to put it in the garage for a couple of days, and then slowly bring it in a little closer to the area of the home that they want it. And I recommend in the center. If it's an average size home, if it's a huge home, you might want several. But that way it doesn't cause too much detoxing, because when the frequency raised, just like having an energy session, your body will go through a physical detox. So drink lots of water, Celtic salt, Epsom salt bath, or sea salt baths, kind of thing. Hydrate is important because you will detox. But then after that, as you clear things out, it'll be emotional, physical healing occurs. So, yeah.
Very good. Thank you so much, Yuvonda. It's been absolutely a joy to walk in the heart energy, inspiration, and how also with Jeff. And Jeff, I'm grateful also for what you shared, because it's so many beautiful people who follow the Infinite Star Connection podcast have been following also the journey. And I feel like today we brought so much more light, perspective, inspiration. Remember, no fear, anyone. Stay in your light. I really embrace more who you are. Self love, rediscover the wonders of your inner universe. If you utilize something that activates your light body, there's no need to fear it. And just be more discerning about what you hear out there, what you read. Oh, so just be in tune with your body. Know that all part of you is consciously evolving. Not just your consciousness, but your body template is shifting. It's part of coming back into the path of self mastery, enlightenment, ascension. So thank you for all of this today, Yuvonda. It's been absolutely incredible. We're going to be back on Sunday, March 31st, same time, 11 a.m. Pacific Daylight Time, 2 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, Sunday, March 31st. And who do we have on that day, Jeff, as a guest?
Z's coming back with he's done I think two other books since he's been here.
Mm.
So we got a lot of catching up to do with him, and that ought to be interesting. He's the type of guy that you just ask him one question and like he's gone for 20, 30 minutes talking about it. So it's
Yes.
perfect.
Yeah, it's going to be amazing. So Cezanne Z is coming back, talking about a new book, his connection, what he does, absolutely phenomenal. So Sunday, March 31st, same time, we'll post everything. But today, Yuvonda, thank you so much. Thank you for being of service. Thank you for staying in your body. And I'm grateful for all the delegations who brought you back because we need you. The earth needs you. And
Thank you.
we're very grateful for your presence.
Thank you. Thank you.
You are very welcome. See you next time, everyone. Stay in your light always. And much love to you all.